Hello, everybody. This is Brother Mkuu, and I'm with my favorite doctor, Tdka Kilimanjaro. How you feeling, my brother?
I'm in a good place. Oh,
Good place.
always good to see you.
Yeah.
You made that drive down, huh?
Yeah, I made that drive down.
Yeah.
I knew I was in the right place when I got into Honky Tonk Town.
You got in here.
When I saw the open bus and the hollering young people, all tore up.
Yeah.
What they call shit faced.
Have to get used to it.
Yeah, I knew I was. As soon as I got in town, the first thing I saw was an open bus. I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm here. I'm in Nashville."
Yeah.
But we happen to be here on right off of Vanderbilt University's campus,
Mm-hmm.
and the good facility that I'm staying here gave us access to the room, so this worked out good for us. But we're here to talk about quite a few things today. We're going to get into Tdka's catalog. Obviously, everybody knows he has latest revisions and other newer publications coming out. We'll get into that. But the last time we sat down and talked, we were talking about leadership, corrupted leadership, and then, of course, our project, talking about the present collective conditions as Africans.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get into that because there's a lot to unpack when you get into the collective condition of Africans, especially here on this continent, African Americans, but globally is even more so. So yeah, tell us about yourself, man. What you been doing lately?
Wow. Well, the short version is I got a little time off.
Okay.
And I took full advantage of it. Got my rest.
Okay.
Got my walking going, my weightlifting, and my kata, my martial arts work with myself. And I had my phone off, literally. So it's probably a lot of messages on there I didn't answer.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of chances to clear some things up mentally.
Yeah, we had talked about that not too long ago about you taking a break and getting out of the rat race there for a minute.
I did. I did, and I didn't say anything about it. I just went about my business. As I told you earlier, I turned the phone off and I didn't go anywhere. I usually go down to Panama City.
Okay.
Down on the beach.
Yeah.
Mess
Yeah, I
around.
meant to ask you about that. Were you going to make that ride down there?
No, I just stayed up here.
Okay.
And, projects I've been working on over the years. People think I just up and started studying stuff, and when, in fact, I've been following it for decades.
Yes.
And keeping my notes and keeping my journals and keeping material together. And then when it's time to pull it out and just integrate it, that's what we do. So you can do a project that might take 5 years in like 2 months.
2 months.
Because you've already been building on it for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about that is that as your knowledge and your your comprehension of whatever the subject matter might be, as that expands, you automatically are putting it into the work anyway.
Yes, and you're getting older as we are.
Yeah.
As you get older, you're in your 70s, I'm in my mid 60s.
Yeah.
You hit a certain point where it all comes together. It starts coming together. When you were younger, you couldn't see how it fit.
Yeah.
And it's often, one of my professors once told me, do your work early, but take your time summing it up.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. Because as you get older, you have more wisdom with respect to how it works together.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been taking my time.
Yeah.
I got to go back up in there next week. So, but these last 3 or 4 weeks have been been good.
You talking about back on the campus?
Yeah, got to go back up in there. I mean, the school doesn't start until 2 months from now, but we got to go back in there and get our planning process going.
Just touching on the collective thing that I brought up when I brought you into the conversation. What would be our immediate? There's a lot of concerns. We talked about the before, age. I think in one or two conversations back, I talked about item A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they all can be A's, they all can be G's, they all can be
You always do that.
They always do that.
You always do it.
All the topics are very important.
Yes.
Nothing that rises to the top or one that goes to the bottom. They're all important. But now that I couch that, what is the immediate concern of Africans here as collectives?
Well,
if you can do that.
Yeah, I can set the stage for that.
Okay.
As you and I talked some time ago about just lack of preparation for what we are facing. When you have not prepared for something over the years, when it comes at you, you're caught off guard. And so most people are not prepared for the way in which, how quickly our rights, civil rights, voting rights, etc., were just seized and taken away.
Right.
In less than a year, all of that is gone.
Oh my goodness.
It's gone.
That went, man.
It's gone. And so it may have taken 20 to 25 years to get from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, when it started retracting again,
Right.
Bakke decision. But we lost all of that in a year. And you and I were talking earlier, and my point was, I don't see it's coming back. I don't see it coming back. 74% of the population electorate is white.
Yeah.
And this is nothing new.
Yeah.
With the economic crisis hitting them, they always turn on. They don't turn on their ruling class, white ruling class. They turn on the minority populations in their midst.
Yeah.
The Hispanics, blacks, we're on the table right now. So I would argue that we were not prepared, and we usually are not, because the people who are giving out information have not done research. And they think research is coming in, reading something, and then going in front of somebody telling them.
Yeah.
They're not doing their full research. They don't have a methodology. They don't have a system in which they carry out research and then write it up so that people can get it there. So what they're getting is somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
And so we're living off people's opinion. That's the first thing that's at the fore. Other populations have think tanks, scientific think tanks. They pretty much know what the statement of problem is, the review of all the literature, not some of it, review of all the literature. Even if they're taking a Nazi or right-wing side, they're going to review everything. They're going to establish a theoretical framework they're going to work out of. They're going to decide on what methods or methodologies they're going to use, and are they going to use statistics to assess or analyze their data, or are they going to use a qualitative summary of the information in front of them called deduction?
Right.
They have all of that in place. We have none of that in place. Zero of it. And the people running around are not doing any of that. And so their conclusions are fraudulent, or should I say, biased toward saying what somebody wants to hear.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. You can't operate, if you're talking about a revolutionary process, without revolutionary theory. You got to have that in place. You see, we don't study carefully who's won in history. How did the Chinese win? I mean, I'm not talking how did they win the last 30 or 40 years. That was a far-going conclusion. They'd already won the first 50 years. Yeah. How did they win that? Right. They summed up their process of winning as they went along and wrote it up. And they fought their battles. They learned from the battles they won and learned from the battles they lost, and used the material that when they won to win the next battles. So they laid out the whole battlefield. They laid out the theaters and the war itself. We've never done that. And so if you're not laid out the war itself, the theaters that you're fighting in, and the individual battles that you have to win, some of them you retreat from. We have not done that. And so what you have running around our community are people just talking mess. And so when you're talking mess, you end up in this situation here where all you're doing is doing what I call play-by-play.
Yeah.
You know, you're almost like an announcer for a football game, a basketball game,
Play,
because
play
play by play. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, once you have gotten your plans together, you need an organization or a series of organizations to implement those. We don't have that. Okay, you have people playing that stuff, but if they have not done the work to know what it is that they should be doing, then they're not going to be able to implement anything that they have not done. And what I mean by that is, most don't have a doctrine.
Yeah.
You see, you got to have a doctrine in place. And I think I sent to you a theory of victory. You got a chance to see that information. But that's just a framework. You know, a theory of victory is not the actual specific strategic and tactical details of what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It is just the framework of how you would do it.
Yeah.
And so we haven't gotten that. That's the second thing. So you move from the foundation of getting a scientific view of the world to getting an organization that understands that view. And then you got to actually have an implementation of what you're going to do. And so, you know, we've been scattered on that too.
Mm.
So everybody's running around doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
And you come back to the same situations whereby, just like with this little young man who got killed by that Asian
guy, yeah.
Yeah, you're back at square one from what had happened 15 or 20 years ago. Those little young men killed back then.
Yeah.
You go out in the street and you pick it for a day or two, and you're back to doing nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, those three things are missing.
Okay.
Yeah. A system of ideas scientifically organized and brought together, organizations that reflect that, and then carry out the work necessary to build around it in a coordinated way. Those three things are missing.
Okay. You're going to make me jump a little bit above, past my notes to go to something that was kind of relevant to what you just said, and then you can build on that. You said that there's a plan in place. They always have a plan in place, and everything else. So when we finally got to the part where now they're stripping up our rights, cutting back on the jobs, cutting back on financial assistance, you know, public works and things of that nature, things that, you know, even the, you know, the Constitution now, you know what I mean, even going to birthright and stuff like we talked about it a little bit.
14th Amendment, yeah.
Before we got on camera, but
yeah.
I want to introduce, I want to propose something to you that I think is nothing but a graduated phase of what they're doing now to us and all minorities, but basically Black people now and in this present time. And it's called austerity. So, and I know that you can talk about this because it's an economic policy. This is what it's in the dictionary.
Yes.
It's an economic policy used by governments to reduce public debt, budget deficit, typically during financial crisis. Now that's key right there.
Yes.
Typically during financial crisis. It involves severe cuts to public spending, services, salaries, infrastructure, increased taxes to balance the budget, often leading to economic growth and reduced employment. Now that looks real good on paper as a theory to get your budget in order, get government spending under control. That looks real good. But here's what I propose to you. In this book, The Capital Order, I'll flash it up on the screen. Capital Order: How Economists Invented Austerity and Paved the Way to Fascism by Clara E. Mattei. Now I don't agree with everything that's in this book, but it kind of helps me forge a theory or a thought process into what's going on right now, what you just talked about how they're now trampling on our rights under the guise of cutting back spending and all these other things. In 19, you can see I was kind of ready for you.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, I did write it down. I thought I wrote it down. Okay, on austerity, in this book, government sanctioned policies, you know, I just read the description, due to cutting spending, social programs, blah, blah, blah. under the so-called financial crisis. What my problem is with the financial crisis, number one, is that we're living under a fiat currency system. So to me, everything is based on the psychological dependence of fiat money. Okay. And if we lose confidence in the fiat economy and fiat money, everything falls apart. But that's getting ahead of what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
In 1922, in Brussels, and I'm sorry, in Genoa, in 1922, at the time they had some kind of a crisis. I think the crash was going on around that time, and what was that 1920, 20? Was that right after World War One when they had the crash?
You mean the Great Depression and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's in the late 20s.
yeah. So this is where they got together, but among them they had experts in finance and economics at Genoa in 1922, who were brought together for the first international financial crisis under the first international financial conference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The technical footprint of the conference, or at least the prevalence of economic over the political, was discernible in the 90s. In the first place, the social composition of national delegations was mainly without explicit political affiliation. Without explicit political affiliation, there was no sweet purge of working class voices. There was no working class people there. Of the delegates of each country, the economics professor H.A. Seckman said very few of the representatives were either politicians or diplomats, and fewer still were representative of labor. So, to me, back in 1922, even though they had a financial crisis at the time, they were preparing for the time when they could anytime stamp out your rights, strip political spending and things of that nature, because they looked ahead, because we can have another crisis, or it could be a political crisis, it could be a racial crisis, because at the time, you have black people running around trying to dissimulate back into the economy.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So we want to get these people under control. We need to have these systems in place, and we're talking about an international movement, not just in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. So now here we are,
Mhm.
2025, 2026, everything's being stripped down under the guise of austerity.
Yes.
I'm proposing to you that austerity was nothing but racism disguised as trying to save the economy in the first place. What do you, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't read that book, so I can't comment on that.
Okay.
But what I can comment on is the actual process itself.
Okay.
When you're thinking about the 1910-20 period, World War One, World War Two, obviously World War One was a war fought to put Germany in place. Uh, with the whites from Britain on in, France and the United States on that side, imposed these austerity measures on them.
Right.
And then for World War II, Germany was coming out of that, fighting its way out, seizing every piece of territory it could,
Right.
in order to build, this Third Reich. What's going on in the world in that period? Well, there was a transition in technology. It's most important, which caused this glut on the market. And in the final analysis, with any glut, you've got to get rid of it. And so they fought these wars in the final analysis to get that glut in place. And what I mean by that is get these products sold, get these commodities working again. It's called war economy.
Yeah.
They have war economies, and Germany, the United States had a war economy, meaning they were employing people to fight wars, to destroy things. so that you would have a job from that destruction.
Right.
That's clearly what Russia could end Ukraine tomorrow if they wanted to, but they need that war economy to keep that whatever economy they have going.
Okay.
So they could end that. They could with tactical technology they can end that tomorrow. So I say all that to say, when you have this overflow of commodities based on a transition in the technology, and at that time, it was from large scale mechanical technology, machine based technology, to a semi automated form, which allowed them to produce more and more, and they couldn't sell it. And so when you can't sell something, you're competing against somebody, you got to find a way to control the markets. And so you get to a point where you're not only competing economically, you have to start competing militarily. And that's what both world wars were about,
Right.
competing militarily. Well, we're in a similar situation now, but it's a closing situation. This is what we try to explain to people. This is different than what happened in Nazi Germany. That was, a bottleneck that they had to break. This is a situation where wage labor itself is being ended by AI, robotics, and labor replacing technology, not labor saving.
Right.
What was doing with Hitler, that was labor saving technology. This is labor replacing. And so when you have that on an international level, not just on the national level,
Right.
you get some trouble.
Yes, we do.
You got to put Hispanics out. You brought them in here as scab workers. That's what they brought them in here for, to do the construction work that was highly dangerous, to do the agricultural work that nobody wanted to do the house cleaning and all of that. That's why they brought them in here.
Yeah.
And they paid them half or a third of what they would have paid them, put a lot of people out of work. Okay, they did that. But once they got this new technology in place and began the process of seeing how they could replace not only whole swamps of the populations, they started lining up who they're gonna put out first. And so they went after Hispanics.
Yeah.
And you can see that.
Yeah.
And I was telling you about the buildings that are coming up around here.
Yes.
They used to be nothing but Hispanics on these buildings, helping to do whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
Now it's only mostly white men.
Yeah.
White men, white women
Who would take those jobs before?
who would take it before.
Right.
But they're getting paid now. They're being forced to pay them.
Right.
And a few blacks holding the sign.
Yeah.
So it's about 5 or 6 new buildings coming around us, and all of them have the same features. So I say all that to say, in this period in history, labor replacing technology fundamentally changes the profit equation. And what I mean by that is you can't profit from having workers do something that a robot can do much cheaper. Robot do it for zero. You got to pay for your health care. I mean, they got to pay for your health care. They got to pay for your wage and your salary. They got to pay for all the things that come with vacation time, all this other stuff. They got to pay for that.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
But once they make that transition to labor replacing technology, where does the profit come from? You can't buy it back. You don't have a job. So that's what closing time means in this period. And that is why, and I read his book, but the point I'm saying is the fact that he put fascism on the cover of the book means that he understands that the capitalist class always puts the right-wing Nazi element in
Always.
To check the building of the working class. They check us by putting ICE on the street.
Right.
ICE is supposed to act like that.
Yes.
Like Nazi stormtroopers. They're just copying straight out of Nazi Germany, the stormtroopers, the SS troops. You see, they're supposed to do that because they are the dogs of the ruling class. So if he's got that fascism on the cover of the book, he understands what's going to happen in this period. Open.
Yeah.
They're going to put down any kind of organizational struggle for working class people. They're going to put it down. Blacks don't understand much of any of this because they haven't read most blacks. They haven't had any
understanding of this. It was all blenders to them. They would just get this story about they've always treated us this way. And as I was telling you this, that's the dumbest story you can have in this period because they don't need your labor now.
Right.
You see, they needed your labor in the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. They would lynch 10 of you. We talked about this to scare 10,000 of you.
Right.
Why would they want to lynch 10 of you now? They want all of you gone.
Right.
Because they don't need you now. This is a whole different moment in history. So I would argue that you would have to actually get a layered understanding of this process, and most people don't have it. The layered understanding is whenever there is a qualitative leap in the technology, that's going to cause a bottleneck in how goods are produced and distributed. Once that occurs, there's going to be an economic crisis. Once there's an economic crisis, the economic crisis then leads to a social crisis in all the institutions. So the government cuts back all the superstructural institutions, healthcare, housing, education. You see, they're cutting them all out,
Right.
cutting them all out, go across the board.
Yeah.
They cut back on each one of those and isolate the group that they know they don't want in getting anything from that. And they know the pocket group for them are whites, white, right-wing
Right.
people.
Right.
That's the ones that they're going to protect.
Yeah.
That is why you see them letting out of prison people who broke into the White House and in the Capitol and burned up stuff and tore it up. They let them out, let them go, and they will actually set aside a fund. Remember that?
1.2 billion.
Did you say it? Did you say it? I was saying I should have went down there and broke it. I should have went down there and broke it.
Some judge stopped it.
Temporary.
Yeah, just temporarily.
Temporarily.
Because they say, no, you get ridiculous here now.
So you're gonna pay people who broke into the Capitol, burn it up, tore up stuff. You're gonna let them out. Number one, felons, 20 years, let them out, and then you're gonna pay them. Set aside. You said, well, how much billion?
1.28 billion. So yeah.
Set aside.
What's funny about that is that they say it's not about the people at the Capitol. It's about anybody who was unrighteously convicted and charged with crimes. If anybody can apply for this money, anybody, including them.
And the thing that's really funny about it is most people don't even know Hitler did the same thing.
Yeah.
He let them all out. Anyone that was joining his Nazi party, he let them all out.
That's true.
So most people don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have to put their fascist dogs on people.
Right.
Now, but this is different because they can't come out of this one. This is what we're trying to explain in the fundamentals of economics. How can you come out of a situation where you don't need workers? Once you don't need them, you don't need them alive either.
Yeah.
You see, not only do you not need them to work, but you don't need them alive because they're not going to be able to buy anything back anyway. You have to take care of them.
Right.
So they're at a point now where they can't turn that one around, Mkuu. And that's what I was making the comment, that this is a fundamentally different.
This is a dead end, though?
This is a dead end.
Yeah, it's a dead end.
It means that you got to either have a new system come out of this, a fundamentally new one, or you're going to get a lot of people killed in the process of getting to that. You see, and they have no qualms about doing that. The issue is how to do it. See, they don't have qualms about getting rid of people.
No. They
have the problem of how can I do this without looking like I'm red-handed doing it, you see. So that is my summary there.
Okay.
That he got the word fascism on there right.
I think that might be a female, Clara.
Oh, well, okay, good. She got that right.
Yeah.
And it's a fundamental thing that happens every time a system is in crisis. But this one, as you just said, this is the final. Yeah. So 10, 15, 20 years as this unfolds, you pretty much know that you got to have a new social system come out of this, or all these people's lives will be taken in vain.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I totally agree with you. And I think somewhere later in the book, she talks about oligarchy and capitalist elites. She talks about there and there. And I know, because I didn't make a notation of that there because I didn't read the whole book yet.
Yeah.
However, We're talking about 1920, 1916, 1920,
Yeah.
1922.
Yeah.
So already they were thinking about the elites then,
Yes.
okay, protecting them, because the bottom line is the only people that's going to be safe for this is them.
What
Are those the ruling elite?
That's right. I just go.
They're the only ones. Because what's going to happen is they don't care if you're out here raping, lynching, killing. It turns into an anarchy. They don't care about that. As a matter of fact, that might be what they're hoping happens. Turning into a police state.
Well, it's going
a total police.
Well, it's going to be that anyway.
Yeah.
We have to agree that the path that we're going down is that's where it's headed.
What they do. They clean it up. They clean the bodies up and everything else, and then whatever's left, they'll.
Yeah, I wrote that up some time ago, and I know people didn't really understand why I was so certain about it. That I said they have three options.
Yeah.
One of them is this fascist dictatorship that they're going to go into. That's
going to happen.
That's a certain.
It's going to happen.
That's a certain. That's not an accident. That's a certain.
It's going to happen
because there's nothing on the other side to stop it. You see,
there's no alternative.
There's nothing on the other side because the whites are on the other side. It's not us. The whites are on the other side. The white working class is right wing and pushed to the right. Let me get this out. An understanding of why I said there are three options. One, the fascist dictatorship. That's the ruling class putting the ICE, military, paramilitary in charge of the state. That's what they're doing. Number two, that would be the working class unifying together. That's not happening, you see. But in the final analysis, that's what's being talked about. Black, Hispanic, Asians, other populations coming together saying we want all our rights, superstructural rights, like housing, education, healthcare, etc. That's not happening openly, okay? And the other one is blacks organizing themselves in preparation to get from under these whites. That's the third. Those are the only three options that are on the table.
Yeah.
And the third one, we've never done our work scientifically, so we lose that immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. We're not doing our work on the level that the people who won in the past did their work.
Right.
See, when you look at what people did in the past to win, we're not doing that. And if you're doing something other than that, you're not going to win.
No.
So I'm saying there were three options. The one that's coming down the pipe right now is the one where they're taking all your rights and beating you over the head and preparing now to put you out too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that's like 90% of where it's going. The other 20% can be divided up with the two, because you did have a situation in New York where people joined together and put a socialist guy in office as a mayor.
But he's all over the place.
But he's all over the place. He's all over the place, and he'll be gone soon.
Right.
But he actually was voted in there to take care of health care, take care of child care, take care of education, pay for those things.
Right.
All of those things he said he would do.
Right.
That's what he said he would do.
Right.
And you know he's not going to be able to do it.
No.
But having said that, he said he would do it. So these people voted him into power over all these other people, even Muslim too.
Right.
You see what they did? So they want that. The population wants that, but they can't get the political leaders to do that. They're not going to be able to do it. So that's what I meant when I said that the three options we had, the main one is the fascist dictatorship. And you should have been preparing for that.
Yeah.
You see, because that's where it's going.
Yeah. The ones who fall to the wayside, like you said, the other whites who fall in that category, the first thing they're going to say, well, sign me up. You know, what you want me to do?
Yeah.
What you want me to do? Because they're going to have their soldiers.
They're signing up.
They're going to have their soldiers. You see ICE going recruiting all these people in.
Liberals, moderates,
everybody.
Even some radicals are now right wing. Let's be honest about this. We don't have friends on those groups.
No.
We don't have them. They are sitting there watching our history being taken out of the history books and not doing anything.
Not a thing.
Let's get that clear. They're taking our history out of the books, taking us out of the museums. They even took Harriet Tubman down.
Yeah.
You see, in Philadelphia, they took that down.
Yeah.
And in the final analysis, every single thing we fought for was civil rights. So you see whites out fighting for us to get that back.
No.
They took that in less than a year.
Yeah.
They took it.
Yeah.
And not these liberal whites did nothing.
Yeah.
The moderate whites did what? Nothing.
Nothing.
The conservatives, they were just like cheering at home. Please bring, and these are the majority.
Yeah.
So, and you talk about a radical, when somebody brings up authoritarian, instead of calling them a Nazi or a fascist, I say these people can't help receive it.
Right.
What in the fuck? What in the hell is an authoritarian instead of a Nazi?
Same thing.
You need to say it outright.
Yeah.
You got to be able to say that. And when they can't say that, you clearly know they're closet too.
Yeah.
They're closet. So we don't have any help.
No.
And the problem with us on our side is they're disorganized. They don't have anything in place for speeches. Running around talking about stuff they haven't researched. Nothing on paper. How do you build a movement? How do you run a university without books? Every professor at every university I have been to, and I've served at the highest levels, had to have a book in the class to base their syllabi on, based on the curriculum that's set up.
Right.
Now, all the other little stuff that you do, PowerPoints and handouts and other things that you do, are supplementary.
Right.
These Negroes in our country who are going around talking don't have anything. Don't have anything. And yet they're the ones at the head of these movements. That's why these children are coming to us, asking us to help them with stuff,
Right.
to write these materials, to put them on paper, because we know the other folk ain't serious.
No.
You can't organize anything that lasts if you don't put it on paper. A speech doesn't last.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And so you know people ain't serious when they're not doing what people were doing when they were winning. If you're not doing that, you're not going to win. You can't tell somebody something in a 2-hour speech and expect them to remember that the next day.
No.
No, you give them the book that's essentially about a year worth of 2-hour speeches,
Right.
and let them at their pace read it and understand it,
Right.
and then build something around it.
Yes.
That's what we've been doing. When I said to you that what these Negroes are doing now will get us killed.
Mm.
All of them.
All of them.
Not some of them, all of them.
Yeah.
Because they're not serious.
Mm.
They're doing the work that we should be doing on the side. I have to say this. It's second class work for them. It's work after they get finished doing the man's work. They come and do ours.
That's it.
And these kids are going to be lined up, like in Hitler's Germany, lined up, being prepared for death because these Negroes are playing. I ain't say some of them.
Yeah.
I said all of them. I just put them on the table, all of them. If you haven't studied what people did to win and then start doing that, we are not going to win. And they haven't.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So no, the summary is we don't have anybody that's going to help us. We don't have white liberals, Asians, whatever. We don't have that help. On our side, we are not prepared. That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
Because the people who should be prepared, and I don't blame them in the 30s and 40s and 50s for jacklegs running everything, because the handkerchief heads wouldn't do it. You go to school, you're 2% of the population that got your little degree, and you ain't going to mess that up. You're going to work for the man and do whatever you can do. I understand that.
Right.
So the jacklegs off the street have to take this and get at the head of it. But all these Negroes running around with PhDs and MDs and all kinds of stuff now, and you still can't build a movement similar to the ones that have won in other places.
Yeah.
Their intelligentsia always took charge. Ho Chi Minh was a part of their intelligentsia.
Yeah.
He studied under the French, and he studied under their Confucianist system they got from the Chinese. So the smartest people were what? Running things.
Right.
The smartest people.
Right.
Not jacklegs.
Right.
General Guy out for Vietnam that defeated all of them. The French, whoever came in there, the Chinese, the Americans, just beat them all, ran them out of there. He wasn't off the street. He wasn't just an elementary person. He was, we had gone through the Confucianist system of education and the French system.
That's true.
Okay? And he transitioned himself into a general. He was a teacher. He went and became the greatest general in the history of war.
He did.
At least in the 20s.
Didn't Ho Chi Minh come out of his camp?
Ho Chi Minh, same
Came
thing.
out of his camp.
Same thing.
You saw his camp.
Same thing.
Yeah, you said you saw his elder doing that. He said, I can do the same thing in Vietnam.
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh's father was at the top. He got his what we call a PhD.
Yeah.
His father, and sent him through the same system.
Right.
So they didn't have jack legs running anything.
No.
I understand us having jack legs in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I said that.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have that now.
Yeah.
These young people, I was telling you about it, they need to finish everything. Finish everything. They don't need to be coming around here with high school diplomas trying to run anything.
No.
They don't need to do it. And we're setting up a school and make sure they can finish everything. Finish everything. Because if you can't finish stuff, why would you try to take control of a movement and you haven't finished anything intellectually to lead it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People who have not finished anything, it's hard to finish things.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is.
It's hard if you want to be a surgeon. It's hard to finish your medical work. It's hard to finish your practicums. It's hard to finish working on the cadavers and stuff like that. To master heart surgery, brain surgery, all the other things you have to master. That 15 to 20 years of mastery just to be able to work on somebody's heart.
Yeah.
It's hard,
It's hard.
but you need to do it.
Yeah.
You see. And our problem is shortcuts. I told you about that before. It's Negroes taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
And you still got a jack leg system in place right now where they're what? Taking shortcuts. And we're not going to go anywhere with that. So my point was there are three options for us. We obviously know that the fascist dictatorship is coming down the pipe. It's here.
It's here.
We also know that the whites in the middle and blacks and working class, that thing ain't going to work initially because the whites are trying to use us as cannon fodder, as usual. They're going to throw us out there and let us get beat up and brutalized and targeted and everything else and leave us there. And until the fascist dictatorship comes after him, like in Minnesota, remember that?
Yeah.
They were letting those Hispanics get brutalized and beat every which way.
Yeah.
Then they shot that white woman.
Yeah.
Not shot her. They shot her. Yeah, they shot her in the car.
Yeah.
Killed her. But they weren't going to do anything about that. She was a white woman, remember?
Right.
But when that white man came out there,
Yeah.
and they killed him that way,
Yeah.
that's when that city said, hell no.
Yeah.
Hell, this is not going to happen in Minnesota no more.
Right.
And they ran ICE out of Minnesota. Remember that?
Yeah. Trump took them out.
Ran them out of there. You don't see them around there no more. They're not bothering them because they were white men.
Right.
You see. So I see a lot just to say that.
Yeah.
That we cannot be sitting around here with people playing games, not serious about their work, talking about leading something and don't even understand what they lead.
Yeah.
Have not even understood what it takes. The price that was paid in these countries that won.
Right.
You don't even know the price that the people paid. And so I say all that to say the closing part of it is those three things stand out clearly to me as forced responses. And we're going to go into fascist dictatorship. I know that. You just have to prepare. The whites are not going to be to help you. They won't help. They're not helpless at all. And the other part of it is that blacks are usually just so disorganized that, we're not going to get anything out of it initially.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're trying to turn that tide. And our battle, in my working with you and a few other people, is to turn that tide.
Mm.
So people don't see it as being an indictment against them personally. It's just a challenge to them to get up to speed. I said this earlier. I don't compare myself to anybody because their standards are too low. The standards are just too low. They have low standards. I'm talking about our best.
Yeah.
They have low standards.
Okay.
And having low standards in this period will get these young children behind us killed.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're doing. That's what I said.
So would the low standard be that, the having some kind of a platform or writing a book and thing get done? You know what I mean? What is it? How does that look?
You run around and giving speeches.
Yeah.
Writing a book.
Running a book.
We need whole areas written.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're in architecture, write that whole area.
Yeah.
If you're in engineering, write that whole area. We need that.
Right.
if you're in medicine, write that whole area. If you remember Dr. Finch, he was trying to write the whole medical area up.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing
Yeah.
before he died.
Right.
He was trying to write the whole area up.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
That's greatness personified, and people don't respect that about him.
No.
He was trying to write the whole area up.
He didn't come with flash.
He did just like
he didn't come with flash.
Dr. Obinga, the same.
That's why he didn't. That's why he didn't bring the attention down, because he didn't come up with that flash. You know, this celebrity kind of personality.
That's right.
He wasn't trying to be that.
He wasn't that.
Yeah.
Just a great man.
Yeah, he was.
And he made such great, he even advanced the chronology of Kemet, and people are not using that. They're still using the 3100 BC. And why would you use something that you know is 500 or 600 years long on the carbon dating automatically?
Automatically.
And he even brought in the questions of gaps in history, scientific understanding of gaps in history, where these invading populations tore up so much that the actual recording of history, the recording part of it, didn't get done because of the invasions. He explained that in such detail that I had to change my position on so many things.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I changed the dates. I changed the date also because he was right.
He was right.
Yeah, so I say all that to say, you asked the question, and I should be, very, very direct about it. Giving speeches are not going to do anything for us.
Yeah.
Even these pamphlets, that's not doing anything for us. If you're serious about something, take on a whole area and fill that out.
Yeah.
Like Finch was doing.
Right.
Like Obinga is doing.
Right.
If you're going to do something, take on that whole area and take care of that.
Right.
I've actually taken on numerous areas and took care of those. All of our books are process books. We don't write pamphlets. We write the whole process, the whole economic system. They never had a book explaining Kemet's economic system or its state system, state plan economic system, centralized government.
Right.
The whites are calling it redistributive economy. So I got in touch with these Russians. I was like, didn't you all, I asked the Russian guy, didn't you all have a redistributive economy? Didn't the Chinese have one? That's what socialism is.
Yeah.
The government takes everything and makes sure everybody gets something.
Right.
Kemet was doing that 6,000 years ago in a systematic way. Now, it wasn't magical. They had to do it. They were in the Nile River, flooding, messing up everything. They had to store up the grain and redistribute it, but they did it.
Right.
Okay, they had a federal government 6,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Federal, meaning substance, 42 states, gnomes. They call them gnomes, but they were sapots.
Yeah.
Sapots. With viziers, governors running the place.
Governors.
And a vizier or prime minister over everything.
Right.
The pharaoh wasn't running day to day.
No.
He wasn't dealing with that.
Yeah.
So I say we had all this stuff in place. And yet most blacks don't know anything about
I
it.
have no idea.
They have zero. So no, we have to do better than what we've done.
We do.
That's what I mean.
We do.
And I'm challenging people.
Yeah.
These Negroes are not doing anything that will help us solve our problem.
Yeah.
They're doing the least that they can do. I've said that.
Yeah.
They're doing the least.
My only pushback just on this a little bit on a one small aspect of what you said was that if anybody comes up with some kind of an organizational attempt or a purpose to try to push something forward, if they come from a good place in their heart, I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt.
We should.
Yeah, I think we should give them the benefit.
We should. Let me answer.
Well, before you answer,
We should.
because I want to put this part in there because I want you to answer it, but I want to put this part to it. You cannot tell me that we never had nothing successful in this country over 200 years because black people don't know how to do anything. Well, when are we going to learn that? Without trying. When does the synthesis come about? Or trying to put something in place? You can't kill something before it starts.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah. And I could say this. As an organized body, we have it. I'm not talking about individuals. There have been great individuals in this country who did great. Harriet Tubman did great things. She did great things. She had a team of people, whites helped her, obviously to get them out of there. But she did her work. This is great things. Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner did great things. We didn't have a group of people doing that. Just thinking we had 1,000 Nat Turners. You see what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that every other population worked through this process. Somebody got mad at me when I said, well, don't bring up that stuff about we've been under the white people for 500 years and the Arabs for 1,400. Hell, Vietnam was under the Chinese and every other population that came, Japanese, anybody who could come through there for over 1,000 years. And then when the French came in and said, we're going to do the same thing again, they're just like, hell no, it ends here. And then ran the ass out of there. And then the whites came with every bomb you could think of. Anything you could think of to kill somebody with, the whites came with it from the United States. And they ran their ass out of there. I still got the videotape where the helicopters are running with the people trying to hold on to the helicopter to get the hell out of there. Yeah. You see, they got fed up with living like that. We haven't gotten fed up. Our intelligence, that's what I'm talking about, hasn't gotten fed up.
I got you.
They're living too well. That's what I meant. They haven't got fed up. They look at me and say, how did that person do that? I got fed up 40 years ago. I made a decision to do this. They have not gotten fed up. So they're taking this pedestrian route when they should be running at full speed.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
I got you.
So it's not an individual that have done it. We know that.
I got you.
We're talking about groups. Those groups should have come together. They haven't done that.
Okay. Now I want to. I mean, obviously, I know your answer to yourself.
Okay.
But I want to bring you back to the question again. If an organization with the right motivation in their heart says, we want to do something different, we want to put together a movement, but yet we have the naysayers come right behind them before they even get started, says, you're not going to be successful because we have never been successful in the past. What do you say about that?
I say those people have to fight their way through that. Don't think for one moment that me bringing up Vietnam is an accident, because they had to fight their way through that. Yeah, I saw it in 30s and 40s. I've carefully studied their history. 30s and 40s and 50s. Nobody thought that they could deal with the French.
Right.
And when it was time to deal with the French, they didn't want to deal with the French. They went to, you call it Geneva. They went to Geneva and tried to sign peace treaty, all this kind of shit. They tried to negotiate.
Yeah.
And then finally became clear. These people
there's no such thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
They ain't leaving.
There's no such thing as negotiation.
That's no negotiating. And we negotiate on there.
That's just a buying time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Buying time for them.
Yeah.
Buying time for them. I mean, I'm telling the whites. Yeah, the whites. So at a certain point, you said, we got to fight. We got to fight. We got to end this.
Yeah.
You got to end it.
I say.
And I can't go back and live the 60 years I've lived, 65 years I've lived. I can't go back and live those. I got to deal with the fact that I don't have much time.
Yeah.
None of us have much time. Get done what you can get done, hand it over to these children and let them know that you put forth your best effort. These Negroes are not putting forth their best effort. I'm talking about intelligentsia now. They're not. And it's very clear they're doing everything possible to not deal with the fact that they need to break from these people, break from these Arabs and break from these white folks.
Yeah.
And they haven't done that. They're still teaching in mosques. They're still teaching in churches. They're still running around here telling our children that we had something to do with Christianity. That's ours. That's not ours.
It's not ours.
That's their stuff.
Right.
The Arabs, the Islam, they're still running around telling people that we had something to do with. That's their stuff.
That's their stuff.
We had something to do with Ma'at. Why aren't we dealing with that first? Because that was the most advanced system of ideas for morality and justice.
Right.
We're not talking about spirituality.
We're
talking about morality and justice.
Right.
That's what we need.
Yes.
Ethics, morality, and justice.
Totally agree.
Yes. We don't have that now. Okay? And until we get morality, people keeping their word, like you and I, doing what they say they're going to do, pushing as hard as they can push under the circumstances, taking their time, as you and I talk, resting, and then get back out there. Until they do that, we're not going to win.
Yeah.
So what's on the field now? It's not going to win.
No.
That's what I said.
Yeah. to me, it has to be a non-apologetic stance on what we accept from our leaders.
Yeah.
And from our teachers.
Yeah. And that's why
and you were non-apologetic by saying, look, you can't come to me and says, we can bring Christians in the room, Muslims in the room, Buddhists and Hindus in the room. We can, and Jehovah's Witnesses and all, Seventh-day Adventists, we can bring all these people in the room. But if you're all African-centered, we can work, leave that outside the door, come in here as an African-centered person. I'm telling you, and I'm telling the community, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me, that's not working.
That's impossible.
Because they're not leaving it outside.
They can't.
They can't leave it out. That's part of them.
That's right. And until they get rid of that, that's why I'm so direct.
So the veggie back, because people don't like me saying piggyback. The veggie back on the point about some people, some really well-minded, from the heart, African heart people, putting together a movement or organization that they think can change the trajectory of African people just here. I'm just talking about nowhere else in the world. Here in the United States, we got to give them a chance.
Yeah, we do.
And I know a few of those.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put it out here now, but I know a few of those people. They're not running around here as Muslims and Christians.
Yeah.
These are true African-centered people trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
But we got to give them a chance. I'll break that news later.
Yes.
I'll break it later.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But there's something going on right now.
Yeah.
That may or may not work. But we're not going to know if it works if you don't give a chance.
Yeah, you should give them a chance. Like and it's not a disagreement. It's a statement of clarity.
Okay.
You should give people a chance. But the reason I always bring up cases in history about chances you give people is that I ain't asking for a chance. I'm taking it. I don't need nobody to tell me what I'm doing is right or wrong, because I have made sure I studied what was right and what won. You see, I don't see this as an accident that what we are doing will win. These young people have this material. They're working with it. They're the ones who are going to.
Can I say,
yes.
Can I say, your catalog is going to be part of what I'm talking about.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know it now. But your catalog is going to be part of that. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm not talking about giving people a chance. I'm talking about the people that come in that room are going to be the ones that set the stage, that set the pace, that set the standard. Because once I find out, to me personally, if I find out we have this kind of individuals, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Yeah.
But for what I can see, what I can tell, what I can understand about what's in the room,
yes,
I feel good about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you beat.
I feel good.
I'm happy that you beat them. I'm actually fighting to make certain there are more of them. I'm fighting to make certain that they know that there's a line been drawn.
It's not a line. It's not being apologetic.
There's a line been drawn. You can't keep running around here strung out like a crackhead on these people's religions and on these people's
I know how hard
economies.
Yeah, I know how hard it is. I mean, you guys, you see my Facebook page. I have members who are Christians and whatever else, and and everything else. And I don't have anything against them. I still love them.
No,
they're still my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're not going to be part of this movement.
No, no, and they'll tell you that. They will tell you that.
Yeah.
They'll tell you that, and they'll tell you as they borrow money. They'll tell you that you won't.
Yeah,
that you your damn money.
That's why we can't waste time. But okay. Man, my God, you were so thorough with that, man. And I think the people need to hear that.
What they did, you guided me into that.
Yeah,
you just like pushed me into it, got me all excited and all.
Yeah.
But I had to say it.
Well, we know, and you guys who are looking at this know that you don't get to call on on video too often, sharing his thoughts and everything. So here's one of the few examples and things that you can look forward to in this particular video. Going to people who put their efforts into their fields of expertise.
Yeah.
Okay. Prolific writers is one thing, but being prolific. Well, here it says prolific writers mean 30+ books. That's what the standard is with
Yeah.
the 30 plus books. Obviously, you fall into that category. But here's some names: African, Black, White, whatever you want to call it. John McPhee, 30 plus books. Science fiction, Isaac Asimov, 500 plus books.
Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly, the politician, whatever, the conservative. Everybody knows about him, 30 plus books. Philip M. Barker, 1,000 plus manuscripts and books. Malima Green,
Yes.
30 plus books. Tdka Kilimanjaro, how many you got now?
65.
Yeah, you got 65 plus books. Walter Mosley. Now, I had question marks with these names. 60 plus books. And for what I can find out, that for what I know, I think he's a pretty good dude. There was an issue with Maya Angelou advocating for the LGBTQI, but she had 30 plus books. Alice Walker, we know she had a gay lifestyle. Ishmael Reed, the Black activist and poet, 30 plus books. Are there any people, Finch, how many books have Finch write?
So, Finch wrote about at least 20 qualities.
About 20
qualities.
Quality. So when I say prolific, even though they have the standard of 30, prolific means in your field of expertise that have an impact on the community and the social standard of that community.
Yeah, Baruti is at the top of that list.
Yeah,
Let me just
give me some more names.
Well, Baruti's at the top of that list.
Okay.
He was doing the work before any of us were doing it.
Okay.
And he's doing it on a high level now.
Right.
The highest level.
Right.
So I always commend his work. He even sent me a couple of his books.
Yeah.
And good one.
Yeah.
Very good. I learned a lot from it.
Man.
I say all that to say, I'm not talking about him because I know he's doing all he could do and has done all of he could do.
Well, if you were talking about him, you just would have mentioned.
Yeah, I would mention it to you, but I'm talking about these other Negroes who are doing this stuff on the side. That's who I'm talking about. The vast majority of, like 99% of them. Okay. So again, Baruti is at the top of that list.
Right.
Just a person who's fought on the front line. And as soon as he figured out that's what he needed to do. Right. I don't know his whole life, but I know what I've seen. Yeah. We actually got started self-publishing, reading his books. We organized ourselves reading his book. We had 3 or 4 of his books, especially the one on homosexuality and all that. We organized ourselves reading his books. All right.
I think that's the standard.
Yeah.
That everybody should at least your foundation should start there.
Yeah.
And I do know that my buddy, my elder Olatunji Mwamba, used his book as the foundation and built on that with more relevant and contemporary information.
Yes.
And brought it up to date.
Yeah, he did.
If it wasn't for Baruti, you wouldn't be able to do that.
No, Baruti laid out the theory.
You wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for Baruti's book.
Baruti's laid out.
Let's put that out there.
Yeah, he did it. You asked me about other people. Amar.
Okay.
Quiet Mar. He's going on 9.
Yeah.
Just at the top of the list.
I think I remember I seen at least 20 books of his.
He's done at least 20.
Yeah.
But all of his books are quality. Okay. He never puts a book out that's not quality.
Right.
There's not anything that I've ever read by him that wasn't quality. From what I mean, 99% quality.
Yeah.
Obinga just put out a book.
Okay.
He's in his 90s.
Yeah.
He just put out a book on linguistics.
Okay.
And I saw something where somebody was talking about peer review. That's why I say finish something. I say finish your PhD so you can understand this. All the people who critique Obinga are critiquing Obinga in peer review journals. That doesn't get peer review means the crackers get together and decide whether or not they want to accept something that fits them. If it doesn't fit them, they are not going to accept it. So all the peer review journals fight against what? Obinga's position.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is not Afro-Asiatic language.
Yeah.
This is an African language.
Right.
That comes from the interior of Africa.
Right.
He clearly shows the documentation to verify that. All these crackers, these whites, liberal, radical, whatever you want to call it, are getting their peer-reviewed journals and books to say that he's wrong.
Right.
All of them.
All of them.
So peer review doesn't mean nothing. You should be having a scientific method to verify your evidence. That should be the criteria. That is what I teach my PhD and master's students. You're not talking about authority. You're talking about evidence based on a scientific method verifying it.
Right.
You don't need peer review said you were an ape in the 1940s,
This is it.
in the 1950s,
That's it.
in the 1960s, in the 1970s. Peer review, when I used to study at the University of Michigan, they had a professor there saying in substance, multi-regional populations, and the whites were the smartest of the Homo sapien. That's what he was teaching at the University of Michigan, and had was over 7 or 8 peer-reviewed journals. He was a top professor in anthropology. I can't remember his name right now, but I remember sitting in the library reading that. These were peer-reviewed journals. These whites were saying that no, Homo sapien didn't start in Europe. Some started Homo sapien didn't start in Africa. Some started in Europe. Some started in Asia. Multi-regionalism. And then when you got to the United States, they got in trouble because they know they walked in there through the Bering Strait. So I say all that to say, they ran his ass out of there about 10 years later after I left there. But that's what he was teaching in peer-reviewed journals for 30 years. 30 years. These Nazis.
Right.
So stop saying dumb stuff because you haven't finished going through the process to understand what it is. The peer review is a gatekeeper for the whites, especially in the social sciences. They can get their teams of people together and say, oh no, that's wrong. And they can take your work and whittle it down to the point that is meaningless.
Right.
And you get it published after they've pulled out everything that would have been of substance to it.
Yeah.
That's peer review.
Yeah.
No, focus on a scientific method, data that has been proven to be proper to use in that case. Carry your study out, write that up, verify it with the method tied to science. That's the route.
Okay.
It is not an authority's route.
Yeah.
It's not my opinion or your opinion
Right.
or my group of people I bring together
Right.
as peers.
Even if you're black.
Even if you're black.
Even if you're black.
Even if you're black. That's why I never claim African Center. Why would I do that?
Yeah, I got you.
Why would I do that? European Center. What the hell is that? What is the scientific conclusion that you take after you do the data? You and I talked about it before with OMAC. There are no answers to that yet. So how are you going to take a scientific position?
Not enough.
There's not no answers. You can't take the side of the whites
Right.
who want to say that you ain't done nothing, and you can't take the side of the Africans who haven't proven it.
Yeah.
So you stay until you get the data to prove it.
Right.
Obinga has proven clearly that the language system came out of Africa and not out of Kemit's language system,
Right. Right.
and not out of Europe, not out of Arabia, not out of Western Asia. He's proven that with scientific facts that show that he's tested all of those language structures and saw that they had no place in Kemit's system when it emerged. Yeah, he's done that.
Right.
And yet and still, the whites with their peer review won't accept it.
Yeah.
You got what I'm just saying?
Yeah.
So again, we have got to be smarter.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, finish everything. They'll let us say, no, we've got to do a better job of really study things carefully. I was thinking about this when you asked to do this.
Right.
I was just seeing something that really bothered me. I need to bring it up.
Okay.
Because we don't study things carefully. Somebody was talking about Stalin. Stalin killed 50 million people. So the first question I asked was, when you kill 50 million people, where did he bury the bodies? Because they had a hard time burying 5 million people in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
They couldn't bury them because they had to find a way to burn them to get rid of them.
Yeah.
I mean, how does somebody kill 50 million people in 3 years and there's no place that they bury the bodies? They didn't kill 50 million people. That's my point. So just logical thought would tell you that. The second thing was some black person that they're trying to say was good in demography. I'm just like, she was sprouting the 12.5 million came over here. I asked, okay. And then she said, and because they were asking her about reparations, they asked her, what population would you start with to get the reparations? And I mean, what target population in the United States would you start with? Because you have to start with something.
Right.
And she said, well, we can start with the 1860 census. And I said, well, I'm thinking to myself, she has a PhD. She can't be too bright, not understanding that's only a 10-year window of what was there, and they miscounted that.
Right.
They had to miscount it because they're trying to miscount it to not have more representation for the South.
Right.
So they undercounted that.
Right.
That's 1860. We were enslaved for 275, really 300 years here.
Right.
So what happened with the other 290 years?
Yeah.
Where are those people?
Right.
Why didn't you line those up and add those to the 4.6 million you said?
Right.
You see, they're not thinking. This is a PhD.
Right.
So this is what the woman who they tried it out there to tell us, how to calculate the reparations. And all she could come up with was the census of 1860. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Our people are not on the level they need to be on. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I think a lot of that, Tdka, is what can we get now? Don't care about the numbers or anything like that. Let's throw a date out there. Let's get our money and run.
Yeah, and it's true.
And a lot of that, there's a lot of that mentality.
It's true.
Yeah,
that is true. The guy came here, and everybody was clapping for him, and I'm just like, again, showing how dumb they dumbed us down to think that he came here. The one from Ghana came here. He did not come to speak to the UN. I gotta say this.
Okay.
He didn't come to speak to the UN for us. He came to speak to the UN for money going to Ghana.
Yep.
But Africa getting paid for what they did.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, why don't we tell the truth about what he's in there saying? What he's saying is reparations for Africa. He's not saying reparations for the diaspora that got the mistreatment.
Right.
Because they're the ones who helped ship us over here. He's working along with them.
He's portraying themselves as the victim as well.
He's portraying them, and I can tell you something. Whenever a state portrays itself as a victim, they're going to win out over individuals.
Yeah.
See, we're not a state here.
It's going to happen.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So we are so caught up in not thinking in this period in history that we let people run stuff like that by us, you see. And so they ran that by us.
Yeah.
Ran it by us. Right by us. And nothing was said.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I meant by I said we are so far behind because we haven't put in the work that's necessary to be up front, to be able to say something like, okay, well, do you want me to explain to you how many people were killed, thrown overboard on the boats? You want me to explain how many died in the dungeon? You want me to explain how many died on the march to the coast?
Yeah.
You want me to explain how many were killed when the Arabs and the rotten whites raided the villages and burned them and stuff like that?
Right.
But now, what the number you want me to explain to you? What do you want me to explain to you about how many 300 million of our people got killed? Not 12.5 million, but 300 million people got killed just to get the 20 to 30 to 40 million into the Western Hemisphere.
Right.
Do you want me to explain to you the entire process?
Right.
Not you coming up with 4.6 million in a census for a 10-year window. Right. You don't even understand that.
Right.
That we were here being enslaved since 1619, and certainly since 1492,
right.
We were over here being enslaved.
Right.
So you're not adding all of that in.
Right.
You're gonna just go with this little 4.6 million people.
It's nice and tight.
Really stupid.
It's nice and tight.
And these are our educators.
To me, again, it's grab. There's nothing but a money grab. Let's get the money and run. That's it. In my opinion.
You got a good opinion. You do. So I've said a lot there, but I had to say
it was needed. I think it was needed. Before we get out of here, I want to get into your rollouts.
Yeah.
Law. But what do you think about the narrative that's going around that we have no solutions anywhere in the community? And I think that was so nonsensical that somebody would say we don't have no solutions anywhere. Nobody's giving us any solutions.
Yeah.
And stuff like, give me your feedback.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, if the statement was nobody's giving them solutions that work, that's true.
Mm.
Yeah, that work.
Yeah.
Because most of our people, our leadership is so chicken hearted that they only look at stuff that is easy to do.
Right.
That'll save their own skin. They're not looking at stuff the way other populations look at stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was telling you earlier about just studying other populations, how they had to deal with stuff.
Right.
We've never had a great march. You talk about China as much as you want, but we've never had a great march where the core leadership of a country that takes over the country, that wins the country, march for its life, thousands of miles just to stay alive, to come out of there and organize and reorganize and plan in a city how they would run a nation.
Right.
Years planning.
Right.
Preparing. This is how we're going to do this. This is the healthcare. This is the housing. This is how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plain. Okay. This is how we got to fight the Japanese. Got to get them out of here first. Okay. We got to join back with the nationalists. The nationalists kill 90% of our people, but we got to join back with them on the unified front to fight these Japanese to get their ass out of here.
Right.
Okay. Got to take resources from Russia. We don't want to take resources. Russia's trying to control us. And the United States giving us weapons to fight Japan, but we got to find a way to take those weapons because the United States is going to come back and use them. All of that's going on. And these people are fighting a great march to stay alive.
Yeah.
And you lose 90% of their army.
Yeah.
And that the ones that live are the ones who organize the country.
Right.
We've never had that kind of determination to do anything as a group. I didn't say any individuals.
Right.
I said as a group. And we got to get there. That's what I'm talking to young people about.
Yeah.
We don't need one star. We need thousands of people together thinking that way. Thinking like that. That we need a group of people winning. So if you're saying that the solutions that are being used right now, they're not going to work.
No, just talking about there are solutions put on the table.
Yeah,
like you said, nobody's tried them because they may be too difficult.
So you got to have smart people not only on the battlefield but also in the diplomacy area, and we didn't have that. And that's what I'm trying to say to you.
Yes.
That we haven't had people who known what they were doing through the whole process because they were scared. They were scared to study everything.
Yeah.
They haven't studied everything. Or they wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be doing what we're doing in this country if we studied everything. The ins and outs of it all, seeing how it all worked out.
Yeah.
And what had to be done. There are some areas where you're not going to make it and
Yeah.
But you're telling the other people, okay, we need you to do this and we need this done. This is how it's got to go. You're telling them because you're not going to make it. You see, that. You're not going to make it. So I don't think we've had that in place. We're not going to make it. It's a good statement for young people because you're handing it over to them.
Yeah.
This is what we got to get done. And this is what my part of this race is right here. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got the baton. I'm coming up with my leg. My leg ends right here. This is what you got to do in the future. And so don't think for one moment the young people I talk to, I'm not talking to them that way. That's how I talk to them about what they've got to do, and how they've got to go about this thing. They can't be wishy-washy.
Yeah. Here's what I was looking for. You're either a coward or a warrior. There's no in between comfort zone.
There's no in between.
When the time comes, you live or you die.
It's no in
It's
between.
very simple.
A great theory winner, and that
Yeah.
that sums up everything I've said today.
Yeah, I was looking for that.
You did. That sums up everything I'm saying today.
Yeah.
There's no in the middle.
If you're African, you should be able to die for your people
There's no and kill
and kill for
and kill.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no middle ground.
yeah,
There's no middle ground.
yeah.
So
All right, tell us what's going on with your catalog, man.
yeah. Well, we finished
Yeah.
the ones we had to finish to get to the point where we can discuss things openly.
Okay.
We had to finish Tepi, which is the
I'll flash the books up as you're talking.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and push.
yeah. So that's the ancient state plan federal economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to finish this one, so
Okay.
we knew what kind of economic system we had in place,
Right.
what kind of political system we had in place,
Right.
what kind of governing process we had in place, a centralized government.
Right.
And we had like a committee of folk organizing the economy. We had a federal government because we had states that were organized under federal government. You had, as you know, governors, you call them viziers, nomarchs, whatever you want to call them. We had all of that 6,000 years ago. And here we are with these old effed up, torn up, trying to copy these whites and Arabs garbage, and with these dumb leaders running it and just making a mess, talking about democracy. It's stupid. And so we got that. So we had to clear that out.
Yeah.
System of ideas already in place.
And I love that book. I'm actually in that book now. That's happy.
Good.
I'm in there now.
It was necessary.
Yeah,
We couldn't even get to the other ones until we got that.
Yeah. And because you told me that one had to be the foundation.
It had to be the foundation.
So I'm finishing it up now.
Yeah. So, and then I was working on the Renaissance of Africa, but I couldn't get to that because I didn't have an economy. I had to sum up Tepi and modernize it for fundamentals of economics, and then sum up as you go through the literature. We went through at least about 40 theorists who had ideas over the last 500 years about economics.
Wow.
We summed them up. Even the black
Yeah.
ones are in there.
Yeah.
The black folk get in there.
You wrapped it up.
They in there. They in there. I didn't leave them out. Your friend so well, he's in there.
Yeah.
I tore him apart.
I told him.
I tore him apart.
Told my new asshole.
I told him yes. I had to. I had to do it.
I see people are finally waking up about it. I'm starting to see it online now about
It's
stuff.
amazing
Yeah.
that you could just let somebody do that for 40 years, 50 years of just talking shit.
We talked about him in our interviews going back at least 8-9 years now. And we brought him up before.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's such a mystery right now that all of a sudden everybody discovering who he is.
Yeah. They waited till he's like senile.
Yeah, he's a hot topic.
That's right. So we had to do that one first after Tepi.
Okay.
And then we finished the Renaissance.
Yeah.
There was no way to do a Renaissance, as I said before, without an economic system that was modernized. And so we've been able to really sum up our best work. But I can tell you that in final analysis, the work that Amar did in explaining how we had to get to it allowed me to think about this properly.
Yes.
And so we actually were on the phone with Amar about 15 years ago.
Okay.
Ife went to Senegal and stayed there for almost 2 months.
Oh, okay.
With him and Papa Queen. I think it's Papa Queen. And so we got everything we needed to really understand what he was seeing as
That had to be a great time of your life, man.
It was one of the greatest.
I know you cherish that.
Yeah, I do. I keep it. And so I expanded on it. And so we brought out the Renaissance of Africa, and obviously it's built on a lot of ideas.
Okay.
Certainly Amar is right at the center.
Yeah.
At center up. And then, he heard people talking about it, PhDs, and talking about that.
Yeah.
What's the process?
We're discussing that now.
Yeah. What's the process of getting one, and how hard this is? To not only get accepted, but to get through the coursework, and then the gatekeeper courses like the theory and the advanced research methods and statistics. All of those things, you got to get through those to even get to your qualifying exam.
Right.
And at Howard, you had a qualifying and a comprehensive. So it was like you went through at least 9 ringers just to get to the PhD stage, just to get to the dissertation stage. So you got to get through the qualifying, the comprehensive, the proposal, the dissertation and the defense. At the defense stage, the people who are on your committee who've been friendly with you can make a decision. I ain't signing my name on that.
Right.
I'm not putting my name on. I'm not putting my name on that. I like you. I like
You're a nice guy.
I've been grinning in your face. I've been grinning in your face the whole time, but I ain't putting my name there.
Right.
And you're not graduating here,
Yeah.
so you might as well go on someplace else. I'm not putting my name on.
All back about 6 months or whatever.
Hey, and that could be your chair.
Yeah.
And if that's your chair, you might as well get up.
Okay. You might go somewhere else, right?
Yeah. Because if it's one of the other 5 members, you could try to replace them.
Yeah.
Say, well, he's biased or she's biased.
Yeah.
But you can't do
So
that.
you're telling me you only get one shot?
Well, you only get one shot there, but you get 2 shots for the exams.
Okay.
Yeah, you get your first exam, and
That's not fair. You only get one shot.
well, you get 2 shots for the exam.
With the exam, but that's the way you
Well, I think
you talking the defense, right?
yeah, I think there are more ABDs than there are PhDs.
Oh,
You know what ABD is?
I do not.
ABD is all but dissertation because they did.
That's what that means.
Yeah,
Okay. I did not know that.
that's what.
Well,
That's what you just asked me.
yeah.
There are more. I think there are more ABDs than there are people.
Wow.
PhD.
Now you can go somewhere else and do a dissertation.
No,
You can't.
you got to start over.
The whole course.
Everything.
What?
Everything.
Yeah, but you wait till the data changes. The data changes.
If you can't get it through in that 10-year window, I think everybody has a 10-year window.
Right.
The 10 year. Because I've served on 3 committees that where the person was at year 9.
Right.
I helped me get through all 3 of those
Okay.
that last year. I
Okay.
could really get it done. So it's a 10-year window. And if you are not able to get that dissertation done to the liking of the people who's going to sign off on it, it doesn't even get to the defense stage.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? It gets locked up in the writing stage.
Oh my goodness.
Because the people are telling, I'm not agreeing with that. You come up with a new theory, and then you got that. Once you come up with a new theory, you got to come up with a new method.
Yeah, I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
I got you.
And then you got to as time goes on, the literature review gets old.
Everything.
You got to review the literature again.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there are more ABDs. This is just my position. I can go look it up, but I remember about 10 years ago I looked it up, and there was more ABDs than there were people who got it.
Yeah, I never really thought about that like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So they got trapped. And so it's a difficult road to hoe. But I can tell you, once you come out from it, you should be able, unless you're thinking like that woman I told you about, who just listened to what the white people say and just agreeing to it and not even thinking. Critical thought is more important than even the dissertation itself.
Is ABD a credential?
Yeah, no, you can just say it.
You just say
You can say I'm all but dissertations
and
try to act like.
Can you put me on your name?
No.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do is act like you're gonna finish it.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you're applying for a job, you say you ABD, which means that you're still working on. But you might be working on for 20 years.
Yeah.
And if they find out that it's 20 years, they know you can't finish that.
Yeah.
It's over the 10-year period. And then the last one.
That's ugly, man. That PhD thing.
It is.
It's ugly.
Well, you gonna finish that. Yeah, and so black data.
Yeah.
This is my baby because
you know I did a video on that, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did a little 12-minute, 15-minute video.
Yeah, you guys
just on a couple of pages, a case.
Yeah,
I did a case study, just for about 10, 15 minutes. Explain one of your cases in here.
You got to send that.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
And matter of fact, anybody who knows that, you guys can pull that up.
Yeah.
I talked about that black
data. Send that to me.
Yeah,
I need to see that.
I got a lot of responses from that post too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, got a lot of responses.
Okay.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't see that.
I need to see it.
Okay.
I need to see it.
Okay. You got.
Well, this is important to me because this is my roots. I started in demography at Florida State.
Okay.
Well, I was in physics, and I transferred into demography and statistics, and I came out of Florida State. Because Florida State at the top in the South, area of demography in the South, at the regional school at the top of demography. So I didn't know that there. But I went to Howard, and I focused in on demography, statistics, and research methods. Those 3 areas, so the area of focus. And so on my way out, They called it a postdoc, but I just saw it as an internship for the last year and a half. I worked at the Population Reference Bureau. And the Joint Center for, at that time, was Political Studies. And now it's Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. So I was managing their databases. And managing their databases, I made a decision, okay, well, they can do this. I can just take this to my house and set up our own. And so I held on to that for over 25 years. I held on to it.
You know what's advisor.
Yeah, I knew it. And kept adding to it, kept updating it. And as technology improved, it's easy to update because you just push a button. Okay, give me the 2026 data instead of 25 or 24. And so you can update each area, by just pushing the button now. So I was able to put together all the data from the founding of the country, at least what they call founding of the country. I had to adjust some of it. And also 2030 projection.
Okay.
Put the projections in. So that's an important piece because if you're going to try to do anything, even if you're trying to leave the country en masse, you want to know where people are at, what they're doing, what skills they have, what age bracket they are, what even what their political positions are. All of that is in there.
Yeah.
So we can actually know what we're getting. That's what I meant when I said earlier that we have not been serious enough about our work.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to try to get across. That we have got to be more serious.
Yeah.
We have got to be more committed to what is work and not be cowardly. We have been cowardly. I'm talking about intelligentsia, just a bunch of cowards.
I find that that's true because you come with a certain distinction with the PhD behind your name. I on the other hand don't have that. So anybody who looks at me as a so-called intelligent person, an elder, because of these prejudices and these biases we have, as an intelligentsia person, you know what I mean? I'm talking about these other people. I don't rise to the level of respect. Okay, so to me, you're cowardly if you don't. If you look at a person such as myself without the credentials behind their name, as though I don't have nothing to, to present or to contribute to the cause of African people here, on the North American continent. So to me, that's cowardly.
It is beyond cowardly.
Because that means that if then people see you supporting me, well, why are you supporting him? You're not a PhD, you're not a doctor. You talking to Mkuu Mzee, what has he done?
That is why
that's cowardly to me.
That's exactly why I said earlier about the peer review.
Yeah.
That if you got your methods in place, and you got your evidence in place,
right?
That's the winning, not appeals to authority. That's why I said that. Not appeals to somebody because they got a PhD or MD behind their name.
We have too much of that going on.
What is the scientific position that they're taking? Can that evidence be validated?
Right.
Okay. Is it reliable?
Right.
That's the position I took. I said none of that peer review stuff. I said very clearly the whites have used peer review to hold us down.
Yeah.
Because all they're doing is sitting in there agreeing with each other, saying, no, we don't let that go through. Well, you write it up. So I say all that to say, let me bring it back to what you just said.
Okay.
This concept of just because somebody has a degree, there's only a few people like you. There's only a few people like you that I have met who have risen to the level of a PhD in their thinking based on their life experiences and works. John Henry Clark was one. He didn't have a PhD.
No.
He didn't.
Right.
But he was as brilliant as they come. Malcolm X didn't have a PhD.
No.
Okay? And he was smarter than anybody around the Nation of Islam or any place.
Right.
In my view.
Right.
So it's not this degree thing that you got to have. The only reason I speak to young people finishing everything is because I know that's a track that gets you the type of organized tasks that force you to actually extend your mind.
Yeah.
Because they've systemized it in such a way that you got to go through, as we're talking about the PhD, you got to go through all of these hurdles.
Yeah.
to advance your mind. That's why I said finish everything if you can, if you get in there. But if you're not, if you're living a life that allows you to learn the way you did it. That's right. The way you did it. And what we went through was nothing to play with, because I was not right wing. I was not shining nobody's shoes. I was not an ass kisser. Okay, I was on the left of the left.
Yeah.
I wasn't even listening to the left.
Right.
The left wasn't left enough.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, you're not gonna run into a person that, like me, that doesn't appreciate the level that you're operating on. I can be working with you. I didn't know you were thinking.
Yeah.
A thinking person. No doubt. Because I know the white people are going to influence all these other things to hold us down. You would never fall for any of that.
No.
I'm just saying, just the level of thinking that you have in heart too, your heart.
Yeah.
So no, keep in mind that there are those of us who think more about the method and the ability to critically analyze and review stuff than whether or not they got a tag behind their name. But there are only a few ways to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, even the because I've been talking the whole program about these Negroes with these degrees and intelligentsia and stuff that are not doing what they should be doing, that are cowards, that are cowardly, doing the least they can do, worried about the white man going out, you see. And so they do this little low level stuff and have our people thinking that's something. It's not. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
And nothing won't solve our young people's problems. That's why I do stick to, as you and I were talking earlier a few minutes ago, I'm just like, we're not doing enough. Whatever is being done out there is not being brought together in such a way we can win. That's what I'm saying.
No doubt. No, there's a level of organization that's created in a person's mind, like you said, for the young people who are going through the disciplined practice of systematically going through a organized educational process. Because once they go through that, then out here in the wild, putting together a movement or organization, because they've been trained that way, because their mind has been molded that way.
That's right.
They know that has to be systematic as well.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So you start from the basics and you work your way up. There's no, like you said, the people who had the microphones, they jump from the concept right into the concept of it, and there's nothing in between.
That's what
There's no building at all in between.
No.
So it's too late for these people.
It is.
Those talkers, those microphone huggers, there's nothing you can do.
It's nothing you can do with it.
So, and then also the PhDs you're talking about, they had the opportunity to build, organizational movement, but they chose not to. They chose the comfort route.
That's right. I was in those rooms with those.
They chose the comfort route.
I was in rooms with them. I'm in rooms with their deans now. A couple of them are president.
Right.
Those Negroes said all this stuff about what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I began to see that people can tell you a lot, but if you don't look at what they're doing, one person was telling me about, okay, I got to publish these articles. I got to do this to get my tenure. And so they did that, and they finally got their tenure. Only 2.3% of Black folk get tenure in this country, 2.3%. And so he was one of them. He got his tenure. And so after he got his tenure, I said, well, when are we going to work on this together? We're going to do this. Oh, no, I got to get a position as a dean or something. I get over dean. So he done skipped over the chair of the department. Now he's a dean.
Right.
And so, when we going to work on I got to get this position as associate vice president or something now. Yeah. And so you can clearly see those Negroes had no intention of doing anything. Okay.
Right.
Because they would have been doing it as they went along the way, like I did.
Right.
As I went along these ways, I kept doing my work.
Yeah, chipping away.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
And you journaled that
I kept
because you knew that information was going to be.
It was if I lived long enough. If I didn't, they put it in the trash can anyway. Right. But I lived.
Right.
I lived.
Right.
And now the children have.
Right.
They have all not 65, but most of the people at least have 45 books.
Right.
We don't sell them.
Right.
But the point, these young people have it.
Right.
And you can tell the ones who are serious because they got all of them.
Yeah.
And I know the ones who got all of them.
Right.
Okay. I keep a good picture of who's doing this.
Yeah.
And it's a good handful of these people just to see young people, serious about their work. And they're not going to just stay with what we put together. They're going to advance that. That's what I asked for. Because you see me all the time improving the books.
Yeah.
We've improved art of research. Once we did PhD, we integrated the material into art of research. The research manager. So now it's at the PhD level. You remember you had that?
Yeah.
You came down to Elizabeth City. And I told you, you saw the book.
Yeah.
Well, damn, this is a big book. I said, no, this is just the master's level. Remember I told you that?
Yeah.
I said, we gotta upgrade it or just produce another one.
Right.
And so all I did was wait for about 7 years now.
Yeah.
We upgraded art of research. It comes out in 2 months. We updated column.
Okay.
The methodology.
Yeah.
More focus on the method part as opposed to just the
I'm still just using a handbook, bro.
Well, okay.
But their art of research, is a monster, man.
But I listened to you and simplified it.
Yeah.
I listened to you because you told me it was so damn hard.
Yeah. It's difficult.
But I simplified
I may be able to get some of it down.
Well, you get it now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because I simplified it. I did. I took my time and simplified it. I got a chance to practice on some masters students the last 5 years. So I got practice.
All right.
What's the other one? We improved African time.
Yeah, I saw that one.
We've improved African time.
Yeah, I saw it.
Because of the work of Dr. Finch.
Yeah.
Dr. Finch did revolutionary work before he passed. And we didn't put it on the shelf. We didn't hide it. He got 3 or 4 things that people don't really appreciate that he got right. He got them right. And one of them was this chronology, but he got quite a few other things right. So we put that in it, explained it. What's the last one? I showed you mine.
Yeah.
We can't talk about that.
You can't talk about that right
We can't talk about that.
I think you talking about Box Square too.
Box Square.
Yeah.
We improved Box Square.
Yeah.
We will that's out next month.
Yeah.
Because people wanted it. I'm going to put it out next month. But we approved that one. You are the first person who allowed us to present that, explain it. And you allowed us to do comment too. We talked about
Yeah.
and so I say, let's say Box Square is redone. So we don't just sit on stuff.
Right.
We keep it up to date with respect to the new data that's and evidence that's in the field.
Okay.
And so we keep going. So the last point I'm going to make is the important part that you made about not judging people on whether they got something behind their name,
Right.
but judging them on their work, the quality of their work.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been one of the few people who stuck to that throughout my life, because the smartest economics person that I've ever met was Nelson Perry. Nelson Perry. I think I told me about him.
You told me that.
He died at 96.
Yeah, you told me that.
He just was brilliant because he could explain. I asked him every single thing you could ask a person, and he had an answer for it. And not only an answer, but he sent you to the evidence where it was at.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had great teachers.
Yeah.
Mwamba, he didn't have a PhD.
Okay.
Mwamba had a master's degree in philosophy, and he had an MBA in business. But he was one of the most brilliant philosophy thinkers that I have ever met.
Okay.
Mwamba from the Congo.
Okay.
Obviously, Amar, he's a PhD, but the point of the matter was he's, in my view, the most advanced writer that has come out of that.
Yeah.
He's the most advanced. So I say all that to say that the point that's important is to really study people carefully and see what quality of thought they had, critical thought. One would have thought this woman was brilliant the way in which they were talking about her work on the on the reparation.
Yeah.
And then here I am, just looking at that, peeling it back, saying we could go through the whole process where her nature, as far as comprehensiveness, is missing. She has that.
My answer to that. I think it was the Venus thing there.
You said that.
Yeah.
And that probably is the leading edge of it. But in the final analysis, when you bring that up to a person, they should do something about it. And most of them don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's the same thing with people who run. We talked about this last night as you were riding around the area here about mythology. You know what I mean? And people who follow mythology, not just Egyptian Kemetic mythology, but all the mythologies, as though all that stuff is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And mythology means exactly what it is. mythology. And it basically is most of it, I would say 90% of it, is a standard for an ideal or some kind of a spiritual foundation of how people how they want their population. Because mainly they come out of an organizational type movement or government. You know, I mean, let's talk Tepi, for instance. You know, their mythology was based on people doing the right things. Living and interacting with each other in a Maadian attitude and way. But that didn't mean that Set and his brother, fought and was real, and that you know the guy got chopped up and thrown in the Hopi River, and then his wife came along, gathered the pieces together and reanimated them. That didn't mean that was true. It never happened. That didn't mean that was true. And that is that's what I'm saying. If you're into mythology, break the mythology down into what it really means. Don't say that is real.
Yeah.
Just like we just think with Jesus Christ and Muhammad and all this other stuff. I mean, let's break it down for what were they trying to say?
Yeah.
What did it stand for? What did it portray?
Yes.
What was the anthropomorphic value behind these things?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's easy to see with Kevin because you got a guy with a head of a stork or whatever. He's supposed to be a scribe. They present the stork as a very wise bird.
Yeah.
A very intelligent bird. So that's why the head was there.
Yeah.
As a scribe, break it down.
Yeah, you see the animal.
Break it down to the people.
You see the animal that's supposed to eat your heart at the final judgment.
Yeah.
And it's 3 parts.
It's parts.
Got a crocodile on the head, a lion,
and a hippo.
Yeah.
But there's 3 bowls of transition with that animal.
That's right. They're telling you something about how vicious that animal has to be. It has all those qualities.
Yeah.
That, like with the lion never quits.
No.
It's not, the lion will fight you to the end.
Right.
The crocodile with the teeth, and the hippo with the power, the force of will. Force of will.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is
and then again, go back to the regeneration too. We know that hippos, when they expel their fecal matter, they fan it all over the marsh and all over because that's the nutrients for the pool, for the body of water.
Good point.
Okay. So we break this stuff down to the people.
Yeah.
Break this stuff down to the people. Don't say that then, Amit's gonna get you.
Yeah.
When you die, Amit's gonna get you up.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what Amit stands
for.
That's
not what Amit stands for. So you got it.
But that's not what Amit stands for. We're supposed to wrap this up.
Yeah, but I fight all of that.
Yeah,
what I saw. Yeah, because they were focusing in on the wrong thing.
Yeah,
and I said, those Negroes who took over the Egypt, Kemet stuff.
Yeah,
most of them were focusing on the wrong thing.
Ask for the breakdown of the mythology. Yeah. Ask what the lessons are for the mythology. Don't believe that the mythology was real. Yeah. There was a reason why the mythology was created in the first place. Right. Those people 5,000, 6,000 years ago were very, very smart people.
They were smart
because most of their population couldn't read a lick, but they had to give stories and examples of how life should be, what you should expect, and everything. That's why they had symbols the way they did back then. Mm-hmm. Everybody couldn't read and write back then.
Yeah. Well, everybody can't read right.
Yeah, well. You ain't right now.
That's I had said it.
You ain't right. Now before we go, I like the idea that you have revised your information as you went along.
Yep.
I basically don't have the the resources to keep buying So what would be your advice to people who know that I have your book, I have your cost with, or what do I do for the future what do you recommend for people?
Yeah, they don't have to keep going.
Yeah.
What we have to do though is keep the information up to its highest level. And what happens is for the new people, they get the highest.
Right.
We go through 3 uh, improvements. The last one is when we close it down.
Okay.
So I've gone through 3 with all of those in the past, and that's what we'll keep doing.
Okay.
And so it means that the second one is usually the one that lasts the longest. That's the one. If you got the second one, because the first one is it comes out. Some things are going to be wrong with it, not only theoretically, but the way in which the layout is. And so,
Yeah.
we clean that up in the second one. The second one lasts a long time. Like art of research lasted for 7 years. College lasted for like 6 or 5.
Yeah.
And box square lasted for at least 6 or 7
Yeah.
years. You see what I'm saying? So they got to the second, and then we held on to them and worked on them quietly,
Yeah.
and then improved them. Not only improved them for the year, but also improved them for the content.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't rebuy it. But what I would do is keep up on the information
Yeah.
that's being presented.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be important that it say I'm my discipline, my field of inquiry and investigative curiosity would be the economics, or it would be the data-driven information,
Yes.
or African, Tepi, Egyptian economy. If you are, really interested in those fields, in those, in those that level of education for yourself, then I would say update those books then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if that appeals to your,
Yeah.
to your curiosity.
That's right.
Yeah.
I agree.
But don't try to update the whole thing.
No, you can't. You can't update the whole hell up. But
Yeah.
you're right. The key areas that you need to be the sharpest on, and you got some really sharp young people.
Yeah.
We really do. I mean, I have some of the best, along with you, but I have some of the best discussions with young people.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking about stuff outside of what we come up on.
Yeah.
And they know, as you just said, you said it some time ago, it's closing time.
Yeah.
And many of them are figuring that out. It's just closing time. And so gimmicks don't work.
Right.
So the reason we correct things is when we make a mistake, we have to admit the mistake and correct it. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with trying to hold on to stuff that ain't true.
Yeah.
Folk have done work in the 80s and the 90s, and they did good work for the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
But you can't use that stuff in 2026.
No.
Don't tell them about to set up no business in 2026 on the basis of something that was happening in the 1980s. You can't set up no factory like that and employ people.
Mhm.
They put the fucking robot in there.
Yeah.
And they got AI running it.
Yeah.
How you gonna serve the Black community when AI is the mind running the thing, the computer is telling the robot what to do, and the factory don't have no lights.
Right.
No lights.
So
China has 10% of its factories with no lights. They're called blind factories, because the robots just don't need
yeah,
lights. They just program to carry whatever they carry. 10%.
Yeah.
And that 10% is producing 30% of the product that comes out of the cars, everything else. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so how you gonna compete with that? They're selling cars for $5,000. Quality cars.
Yeah.
For $5,000.
Yeah.
That's why the United States won't let them in
They
here,
won't let
because they'll just drive everybody else out of business.
Yeah.
Any one of those BYD cars will drive any white person out of business in this country, any company,
Right.
even Tesla. They'll drive Tesla out of business,
Right.
because they're just that high quality.
Right.
Because human beings are not putting that together.
No.
And robots.
Yeah. They are.
So they're so advanced that they can't let them in here.
Right.
But not letting them in here, you stay behind. You fall further and further behind. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I say all that to say that's what's happening with us. We had this lock. Our people had this lock on what was African-centered. That's it. They had a lock on. Those Negroes didn't change their names. They didn't change their religion. They ain't changed nothing. Most of them. They had a lock on. They said if it's outside of African-centered, or outside what we doing,
Right.
it ain't nothing.
Right.
And so it didn't grow.
Right.
And the white did what? Ran over it.
Ran over.
Ran it on out of there. So every African school district, all this other shit, they ran it out. Just think if we were improving that with the science and technology that we were getting, the AI and all the other stuff. Just think if we were improving. We would have been on solid ground to fight then.
That's true.
But we weren't.
We don't.
Didn't do it.
Yeah.
So no, we gotta keep improving.
Yeah.
Gotta
All right,
keep
my brother. It's been great.
as always.
As always. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, likewise.
And I'll be back down again, I guess.
Yeah,
Soon.
I'm coming your way next time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I came the first time.
Yeah.
You came last too.
I was put him on spot, man. He came in here with a great what was that? Was the Ethiopian food?
Oh man.
Yeah, you know.
Awad.
The car hooked me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, matter of fact, I might just show the pictures real at
Yeah, why don't you do that?
It'll be good stuff.
Yeah, Awad. It's called Awad.
Yeah.
When you're in Nashville, the place is called Awad. AW.
You guys go and enjoy. I enjoyed it myself.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's good food.
All right.
I'm taking the rest of mine home.
What's that, family? Take care.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Baba Mkuu Mzee. Just a reminder about the Ethiopian restaurant that Tdka talked about. Name was Awash Ethiopian restaurant, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Feel free to frequent that establishment. The food was very good. Just wanted to put that up there in case people was in the area. You can go there and check it out. We talked about Baba Mwalimu Baruti's book, Homosexuality and Effeminization of the Afrikan Males. You can find that work and his other work, his great catalog at copenhouse.com. Here's a link there. The great ancestor Charles Finch, Tdka talked about how he changed his his dates and his time frames and his time periods for Now Valid Civilization based on Charles S. Finch's books. Now Valid Civilization, 10,000 Year History. Feel free to go to the website and check it out. Brother Mwalimu Baruti, I mentioned him already. Baba Olatunji Mwamba, we know about his work, how important it is, the Afrikan-Centered Response to the LGBTQIA Organization and their agenda, the conversation no one wants to have. And we know that he built his work on top of Mwalimu Baruti's book on homosexuality. Also, the book that I co-authored with him, Raising Awareness, Past, Present, and Future. Go to his website, check it out. If he doesn't have any more copies available, feel free to reach out to me and Mkuu Mzee. And the Ghanaian writer Awakwai Amara, his great works. He's still alive, by the way. He can still be. They can still be purchased at his website, which I have listed here. We know how great his work is. It has been and will continue to be. And of course, Tdka's work, his catalog, everybody knows about that. You can go to the website, University Kemet, and get those works, get those books. All right. Okay, guys. It was a pleasure bringing this, presentation to you with Tdka Kilimanjaro, the conversation. And I want you guys to take care. I'll be for you. Peace.